The story of Sprite does not begin in a sleek Atlanta boardroom, but amidst the industrial resurrection of post-war West Germany. It was 1959. The Coca-Cola Company, a behemoth already generating hundreds of millions in revenue from its flagship cola, faced a glaring hole in its balance sheet. While they dominated the dark soda market, the lemon-lime sector, a category rapidly gaining traction as both a refreshment and a mixer, was entirely monopolized by 7-Up. At the time, 7-Up was not just a competitor, it was the Uncola, a brand so dominant that it held nearly 100% of the lemon-lime market share. Coca-Cola's executives realized they were losing potential millions annually by forcing loyal Coke drinkers to leave the Coca-Cola system whenever they wanted a lemon-lime drink. The solution came from their German subsidiary. They had developed a clear, crisp variation of Fanta called Fanta Klare Zitrone, clear lemon Fanta. It was sharp, tart, and cut through thirst in a way the syrupy competitors didn't. Executives in the US saw the potential immediately. They rebranded the liquid Sprite, a name originally trademarked in 1955 for a never-released line of fruit drinks, and prepared for a US invasion. The initial make money strategy. The launch in 1961 was not a soft opening. It was a calculated assault on 7-Up's margins. The business model was classic Coca-Cola aggressive capitalization. The concentrate leverage. Instead of building new factories, Coke used its existing network of independent bottlers. They told these bottlers, "You already have the trucks, the glass, and the routes. Buy our syrup and you can stop selling 7-Up." The mixer market entry. The initial monetization plan wasn't just targeting teenagers, it targeted adults. Sprite was marketed heavily as a mixer for whiskey and vodka, tapping into the alcohol industry's massive liquidity. Pricing warfare. In test markets like Lansing, Michigan and Sandusky, Ohio, Coke subsidized the price of Sprite syrup, allowing bottlers to sell it at a discount compared to 7-Up, effectively bleeding the incumbent's cash flow. By the end of 1961, Sprite had not yet turned a profit, but it had successfully planted a flag. The initial investment, estimated in the low millions, an enormous sum in 1960s dollars, was a loss leader designed to secure shelf space. The goal was not immediate revenue, but share of throat. Chapter 2. The Growth Engine and Scaling Strategy. How do you take a product from zero to billions? You don't sell bottles, you sell syrup. The genius of Sprite's growth engine, and the reason it became the world's leading lemon-lime drink, lies in the franchise bottling system. The multiplier effect. Sprite's revenue model is misunderstood by the general public. The Coca-Cola Company, TCC, largely does not produce the Sprite you drink. TCC produces a proprietary concentrate or beverage base. This sludge, pure profit in liquid form, is sold to independent bottling partners. Cost to produce concentrate, extremely low. Sale price to bottlers, high margin. The scale, a single gallon of Sprite concentrate can produce hundreds of finished drinks. This allowed Sprite to scale without capital expenditure. When Sprite needed to enter Brazil or South Africa, TCC didn't need to build a $50 million bottling plant. They simply signed a contract with a local tycoon who already owned a factory, sold him the syrup at a markup, and let him handle the heavy lifting of logistics, trucks, and payroll. The Lyman shift. In the 1970s and 80s, the scaling strategy shifted from mixer to thirst quencher. This was the birth of Lyman, a marketing construct combining lemon and lime. This wasn't just a tagline, it was a psychological trigger designed to differentiate the product from 7-Up's Uncola positioning. Distribution power. By bundling Sprite with Coca-Cola in contracts with restaurants and cinemas, TCC forced 7-Up out of the fountain business. If McDonald's wanted Coke, which they desperately did, they had to take Sprite. This effectively locked 7-Up out of the massive fountain revenue stream, which accounts for nearly 30 to 40% of soft drink volume. By the late 1980s, Sprite's revenue was multiplying not just linearly, but exponentially as it rode the distribution rails laid down by Coca-Cola. The brand was crossing the $100 million revenue threshold and eyeing the billion-dollar mark. Chapter 3. How the brand dominated its market. Market dominance is rarely about the best product. It is about the most available product. Sprite's dominance over 7-Up and Sierra Mist, later Starry, is a masterclass in supply chain power and cultural monopoly, pushing competitors out. In the 1990s, the cola wars were raging, but the lemon-lime war was a massacre. Sprite's competitive advantage was the red truck. Because Sprite was delivered on the same trucks as Coca-Cola, it had a distribution cost advantage that 7-Up, often distributed by a patchwork of independent bottlers or the weaker Pepsi network, could not match. Shelf space dominance. Coca-Cola negotiated end cap displays in supermarkets, Walmart, Kroger, and Carrefour that mandated a certain percentage of shelf space for their portfolio. Sprite, being the number 2 liquid in the portfolio, was guaranteed prime real estate. Exclusive deals. When Coke signed a $1 billion plus partnership with Burger King or a multi-million-dollar exclusivity deal with AMC Theaters, Sprite was part of the package. 7-Up was physically removed from the consumer's reach in millions of locations. The brand loyalty moat. Sprite's Obey Your Thirst campaign, launched in 1994, was the final nail in the coffin for 7-Up's dominance. While 7-Up was trying to be cute and quirky, Sprite aligned itself with the raw, gritty, rising culture of hip-hop and basketball. They didn't just buy ads, they bought cultural relevance. This created a generation of loyalists who saw Sprite not as a soda, but as an artifact of urban culture. By the early 2000s, Sprite's market share in the lemon-lime category had surged past 50%, leaving 7-Up fighting for scraps. Chapter 4. The revenue model behind every dollar. To understand Sprite's financial success, we must dissect the unit economics. Where does the money come from? The syrup margin machine. The core of the revenue is the markup on concentrate. The cost? Estimates suggest the ingredients in a gallon of syrup cost TCC only a few dollars. The sale? That gallon is sold to bottlers at a significantly higher price, often adjusted for inflation and local currency. The retail value. That single gallon expands into hundreds of dollars of retail sales. The return customer loop. Sprite has one of the highest frequency rates in the industry. The crisp, caffeine-free nature of the drink makes it a palate cleanser, often consumed with spicy food or heavy meals. Upsells. The combo meal is Sprite's best friend. In fast food economics, the soda has the highest profit margin, often 90% plus for the retailer. Sprite helps drive this by being the default non-cola option. Cross-sales. Sprite acts as a gateway to the wider portfolio. A customer who trusts Sprite is more likely to try Sprite Zero or Sprite Cherry, keeping the dollar within the TCC ecosystem. The print money system, freestyle machines. The introduction of Coca-Cola freestyle machines was a revenue revolution for Sprite. Microtransactions. These machines allow users to add cherry, vanilla, grape, or peach flavor shots to Sprite. Data gold. These machines send real-time data back to HQ. If TCC sees that 40% of people in Atlanta are adding cherry to their Sprite, they launch Sprite Cherry in bottles the next month. It is a zero-risk R&D platform that prints money by validating products before they're mass manufactured. Chapter 5. Financial milestones and billion-dollar decisions. Sprite is a cornerstone of the Coca-Cola Company, which reported over $45 billion in net operating revenue in 2023. Within this empire, Sprite holds a special title, Core Billion-Dollar Brand, the Billion-Dollar Club. In the financial world, a billion-dollar brand is a product generating over $1 billion in retail sales annually. Sprite crossed this threshold decades ago. Today, its brand value alone is estimated between $6.8 and $7 billion, according to rankings like Interbrand and Kantar. Valuation context: if Sprite were spun off as a standalone company, it would likely be a Fortune 500 company in its own right, with a valuation exceeding $20 billion based on typical revenue multiples for beverage giants. The acquisition of rights. One of the most critical financial decisions was the consolidation of bottling rights. In the 2000s and 2010s, TCC spent billions, for example, the $12.3 billion deal to acquire the North American operations of Coca-Cola Enterprises, to take temporary control of bottling operations, fix the supply chain, and then refranchise them. This massive financial maneuver ensured that Sprite's distribution network remained robust and capitalized even during economic downturns. Market cap impact. Sprite's consistent growth, often outperforming Coke Classic in terms of percentage growth, helped stabilize Coca-Cola stock, KO. When health concerns drove consumers away from dark colas, Sprite's clear image provided a hedge, preventing the stock price from tanking during the anti-sugar crusades of the mid-2000s. Chapter 6. The Supply Chain Money Machine. How does a bottle of Sprite cost $2 at a gas station, but pennies to make? The secret is in the global supply chain efficiency. The concentrate plants. TCC manufactures Sprite concentrate in a few highly guarded concentrate plants around the world, like in Ireland, Swaziland, or Singapore. These